Bougie.
I had a
Here's
wild
another reason why you want to take control of what you're doing.
Everything kind of funnels into the only winning move is not to play the game.
So I got to ask permission to buy the gun, and then I got to pay to ask permission to carry the motherfucker outside of my house. How about you go fuck yourself?
Why did I look so
Welcome back
small in that
to
picture?
the weather report. And Harkos is just keeping on, just talking and talking and talking, man. You can't shut that guy up. But anyway,
Shut the fuck up. Yeah, that's how it goes.
we brought back our good friend Kevin Pfeffer of E-Rock Music, and we want to welcome him back to the show. And we're going to continue our discussion on E-Rock music marketing, what it takes to start something like a music company and a teaching company and instruction company, stuff like that. There's all kinds of aspects to business that we like to kind of touch on in this podcast, and we're just going to keep going. Hey, thanks for coming back, Kevin. How you been doing?
good. Doing great, fellas. It's been fun.
Yeah,
Thanks for
it's only
having
been
me.
a couple of minutes since the last time we spoke.
Bruce.
So I mean, I wanted to
Long
make
time
it
no
feel like it was weeks, you know. So
Yeah, I gotta get a cough drop.
it's that Hollywood thing, dude.
Yeah. I like the intro too. That was good. Is this like the more saucy part of the podcast? We get a little more.
The bonus content can be anything that we want it to be. We kind
it.
of like, like I said, when we do our X thing in the morning, it's more of a mansplaining and manspreading type of situation where that's what we do. We don't have a lot of female listeners, so that goes without saying. But we can do whatever we want on the show because it's my show, it's our show. Jason, like I said, kind of produces most of the audio for the morning show, but I see that he wants to be clicky on the solo feeds and stuff like that. So we let him play around and do that stuff because he doesn't talk a lot. So he sits there.
Because you guys don't shut the hell up. That's why. Especially you.
When we do give him the screen, he's
No, earlier Harkos, and of course he walked away. So I wanted to comment on something he said a little bit ago last week. There, he's finally back. Thank you for finally being back.
Well, I figured I'd give you an opportunity to talk, but you never fucking take them. So,
well, because I was waiting for you to get back because I was going to comment on something you said a little bit ago, which was now last week. But you were talking about wanting to play music for your grandma, and it's like, yeah, I want to play Blast Sepultura for my grandparents. But like, yeah, grandma, listen to this stuff. It's Sepultura. Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's exactly, but that's how it is though. I mean, like when you're really fanatical about something, you want to share it with everybody,
right?
And a lot of times it's whether or not they give a fuck,
right?
And most
I mean,
people
honestly, like you super fans are like, and it's still true to this day, the equivalent of like, your street teams. Like they're going to go out there, whatever city it is, and they're going to hustle. They're going to be like, this band's a shit. Like, check them out. Like, I mean, they're going to be in the ground floor, like in the trenches, like outside the shows at the venues. And they're going to be like literally handing you out, whatever it is.
Well, there's that. And then on top of that, like something that I think even holds a little bit more weight nowadays is they're going to be on the social medias, sharing your stuff, creating user-generated content, UGC, with your music. Like that makes it go so much further because
for sure,
especially if they're a content creator and then they happen to genuinely like your music, whatever it is, and then they put it into their content. Well, now your song music is getting out there. And it's getting so much more exposure and everything.
Right.
So yeah, you can definitely have a street team that will be there in the third dimension, but in the internet dimension, it can exponentially grow off one piece of content.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. The potential for compound like just explosion is huge. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's kind of like that whole, we're in this golden era. Like it wasn't like that always. And now that we have this opportunity, that's part of the reason you don't necessarily need a label. It's like labels don't do artist development anymore. Really, they don't. And so it's up to you to be that. And then the more you can get those relationships with your fans to do it for you, that's amazing.
Well, some of the smaller indie labels, they'll still do artist development. But once you start getting into like the mainstream level indies and then the mainstream levels, like they don't really take time to do it a lot. So there's like level, as they say in hip hop, there's levels to this shit. There is levels to it, so like, you may get on with a couple of small indie labels. It's like a 2 or 3 man operation.
Right.
And they'll help you out with some stuff, but then you'll grow beyond them.
Right.
Because whatever reason, and then you got to go up to the next one and the next one. Now you're on like a regional indie label, and then you get into like, you may go further than that, but a lot of artists, it might be best for them to just be the contractor, and they hire subcontractors.
Oh, for sure.
So like, they're an artist, they want to play music, so they hire you to be a subcontractor to help them get sync license, and they hire me to help them with their internet marketing and stuff like that. And then they hire, Jason over there to help them hone in their skid flute ability, and then they can grow, and they can scale just like that,
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it comes down to the artist having, it's a shit ton of work. Like, you have to be willing to it's a business. You have to be willing to put in 110%, no matter what. You're on blast every day, 24 hours, you know what I mean? And like you said, you can contract, there's all these services out there. Like, if you don't know, like, who the hell and what new artist coming up knows what the hell sub territories are, or how to collect royalties from like the UK or different places. You can work with a company like Songtrust, that's gonna take a small percent of admin, but not like take all your creative rights, or take a huge piece of your, your song, you know what I mean? As far as like when it comes to writer share, publisher share, and whatnot. Like,
they just take a percentage and they offer the service, and you can just, you upload it and you're good. And
you're there. You have the creative control. No labels taking it from you, telling you what to do, how to write it. Yep. It's you.
So of course, as a songwriter and a musician, you had a lot of experience coming into E-Rock as far as marketing and promoting yourself. But there had to be a starting point somewhere in there where either you made mistakes or you've got like second thoughts of doing this or that. What was that learning curve like, and where did you kind of crest over the top of the bell curve, and now you are being more successful with your own marketing and your own promotions and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I don't know if there's ever like a point where I feel like I've hit the plateau or something. Like, I feel like you always got to keep learning. You still make mistakes, but if you're willing to tune the engine and refine it, I mean, first of all, like, things are constantly changing. The technology is changing. The way marketing is changes like every year almost. There's like, you know what I mean? With social media, there's a new tactic. There's some algorithms that change in Instagram or Facebook or something where you have to try something different. I've worked with a lot of different companies, like ClickFunnels or different companies where you're working with like, automated, basically like little magnets and websites out there and things that you're running these ads on that you try to get, funnel people through to whatever your product is. I don't know. I feel like when I started E-Rock, it was just as a concept. I think I registered as a fictitious business in like 2000, I want to say like 15 or 16, just kind of at the idea of that's where I wanted to go online, but I was still kind of just learning and like mentoring and teaching like local musicians. Right. I think a lot of the knowledge that I had brought was from failures already from my first band with the 5 Inches to Freedom, because I mean, shit, like, first of all, the first year we became a business, right? You become a partnership, a K1. We forgot to file our taxes properly and had a $2,000 bill from Uncle Sam. So we're just like, oh shit, we didn't know we had to do this, like, all right, well, what do we do now? Like, hey, let's write our CPA. Shit. Can you get us out of this problem we're in?
At least it was only $2,000 and not like $200,000.
Yeah, right. So like, I learned a lot of that from the onset of being in a band. And like I said earlier, I wish I would have known half the stuff that I know now. Like, I wish I could have avoided all those pitfalls with like things that we did as a band, because it would have been a much more smooth ride. And so I think just doing that, because we were as early as, seniors in high school, the 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, we were already a business because of those things. Like, we had to function as a business, we had to be a partnership, marketing, all of that. And so I think I took a lot of that with me into E-Rock, and the initial idea was just to like, hey, like I want to just help mentor other artists and like serve them and help them avoid these things. And I think that when you focus on serving people with like the intent of like you truly in your heart serving people, and it's not like, hey, what's the bottom line, how much money can I make? I think people realize, hey, that's a good product, like this person's genuine, like they're teaching me good knowledge, like they've been there, they've done this thing, like the fruit's on the tree. And that's what a mentor is, right? And so the whole idea with E-Rock is just kind of mentoring other artists who want to get the fruit from the tree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think just the concept of just teaching somebody an art or propagating their necessity to have some kind of artistic outlet to kind of channel their focus on is really important, and there's pitfalls into singer-songwriting and going out being famous and all that stuff. I mean, that's a road, that's a rocky road anyway. But I think that once you get a kid involved or even an adult involved in something they can be creative in, it's a start of something that could be a lifetime of just joy. I mean, I don't do a whole lot of performing anymore for the Weathered Souls, but I'll sit in here for an hour and a couple of hours and just bang on my guitar until my fingers bleed, and rehash songs that I've written before, look back on some stuff that I wrote when I was a teenager and laugh at it and go like, I can't play that song now.
Yeah, and you actually wrote that on an actual stone tablet. You didn't have a digital tablet.
I did it on the wax rolls and the Victrola. And,
right.
They sound a little scratchy, but they still perform today. They still do good. But
it's funny. Like another thing that I have to say, like really helped me out was just is the music. Like when you start to realize that it's a painful realization for some people, but like most of it is not music, it's business. If you're serious about wanting to promote, like actually do something with your music, right? I think that I realized, hey, like something I really got into it for a few years, right around the same time as starting E-Rock, was personal development. So it was an organization called Life Leadership, and just really focused on like personalities, understanding people, navigating relationships, business, like personal development is awesome. And I would like highly recommend that to any artist or anybody who's trying to turn something into a viable business, because really like you always want to grow. If you become stagnant and you're not growing, then you're not moving forward. And like, you have to have that hunger. And I don't know, that's something that really helped aid me with E-Rock, because I also wanted to infuse personal development into mentoring artists, because there's so many aspects to it. It's like the business, confidence, knowing how to navigate, talking to people, promoting, like reading people, right? There's books like The Personality Plus. There's books like, How to Win and Influence Friends, things like that.
Yeah, you got to definitely know how to talk with other people, but then also how to portray yourself, and I really, really like where the internet is in regards to music right now, because, Jason, you're 42 or something like that?
46.
42. So he's 46 years old, but like, he's in finance and stuff like that. He works from home and all that stuff. He loves music, but God, he would love more to blow up his office, right? And so instead of doing that, he can like start learning how to play the guitar or the drums or something like that on the weekend. And then if he gets to a point where he's like, hey, I'm ready to start putting some of this stuff out, then he can dress up in like a costume if he wants to. He doesn't have to be, Jason. He can dress up in a costume, be a caricature, or just be a character. I mean, sorry. And he can just have a whole persona online and then just do that thing. And it could take off. You never know.
That's so true. It's your act, it's your brand, it's your identity. And it's so true. You can, some people do that. They turn it on and off. And when you have it on the internet, you really can frame how everybody sees you and curate that, That's actually, that's a great point.
Yeah. You can curate the hell out of it. And you have to,
right?
Because
you're trying to stand out.
Yeah. Because if you just like, if you don't establish your brand and who you are, then you can't expect other people to be able to directly identify who you are and what you stand for.
Right. And you want your fans to relate, and you want it, like there's like fans can see through you if it's just cheesy and phony. You know what I mean? You can have a persona that you turn on and off, but you still have an element to it that's real. You know what I mean? Like as an artist, you have to have, first of all, you have to have really good music. Like you can't we can't skim on that. Like you have to have really good music, and that's a whole challenge on its own to overcome, because you have to get there as an artist. You have to, be that and be good enough. And then also you have to deal with your own self-confidence, right? Like it's hard to release music because you sit there and you're like, well, what are people going to think? Like, you sometimes have to second guess yourself and get through all that and have the confidence to like, hey, this is it. I'm putting this out there, and you know what I mean? Take it or leave it, right? And then to connect with your fans on the after the fact, there's so many aspects to it. But yeah, like the internet, it's amazing. You really can almost have like a double life. You said like
you can
have a double life, Kevin, because I wanted to bring this up before, is that you're a family man. And you got a huge family, as a matter of fact.
Huge family. Yep, it's true.
When I see you guys out and about, you're usually all together, and some of your kids are older now, so I mean they've gone on and pursuing their own lives now. But for the most part, I always see you with your kids, man, and it tickles me to death. I love it, and it's one of those things. So juggling E-Rock, juggling your performances, juggling the wife and all the house stuff and everything else that you got going on, the travel, to this, because I know you travel all over the place too.
Yeah. We just actually had a pretty wild weekend in Vegas, Kelly and I, this last weekend.
Congratulations on your anniversary too.
We had about 16 friends fly out too. We had a roast for one of our buddies. It was wild. Yeah, 3 days in Vegas is enough. No sleep.
But how do you juggle that? To give us an idea on how that lifestyle is, and juggling all this stuff that you have going on, man. I really without getting too personal with the family. I mean,
no. I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah, it's a lot. Like Harko said, it's a challenge because you've got to stay consistent, and there's so many elements to. And just if you didn't have a family, just being an artist and everything you have to do, right? All the parts, the working parts, the marketing, the releases, and everything. I think in another sense, that's kind of why I also started E-Rock, was because I wanted a way to where I could build something that serves people, because that's the first thing you have to do, right? Nothing can be successful if you don't have an audience, you're not serving somebody, right? And so I wanted to build something that we could serve people and eventually build like a passive income, right? Because we have more teachers, we have content online, monetization. And with that, it helps you free up your time to focus on the craft. And because, part of the school, it's social proof for me to have great music and producing stuff that I say, hey, this is the proof, like come and join and learn, because this is the kind of quality of music we put out. I wanted to do something where they can work hand in hand. And so the school provides an opportunity for me to sort of be here with my family, have a business that's in the community, but also online, allow me to keep sharp, make music, you know what I mean? And with the vision of eventually having it be like business owners where it can run itself and we free up our time. And that's one of my biggest goals, is to have something that's just a really great product that is serving, but it doesn't require me to be there to function. So I can, keep getting more and more of my time back. Because ultimately, like my biggest passion is sitting in the studio. There's two things. It's either sitting in a studio, writing music, getting the chills because you came up with something you love hearing, or playing live. That's the two things I love the most. And so, yeah, it's totally a juggle. It's always a struggle because you got to have time for family. But I feel like I've been blessed because my kids are really into music. So like my oldest son, he's playing piano. He's coming down to the studio like, hey, Dad, check out this riff. Like, what do you think? Like, I'm like, yeah, let me help you with that. And he's playing in he plays in the festivals. He's in a band. We did a summer camp this last summer and he was in it. And so it's cool. Like I got to sort of help them as a band, like get ready for a show. And that's kind of how I've made it work. It's not like the most conventional thing. There's definitely like sacrifice as anything else, but I think it works for us, and everyone's their own story. So You just got to do what you do.
Right. That's awesome right there, because I mean, that's what a lot of musicians want to do. You know, I call it the musician lifestyle. I mean, I don't really, that's not like a branded thing, but like it's the musician lifestyle. What do you want to do? You want to make music. You want to be able to hang out with your family, and you want to stop working that bullshit 9 to 5, or stop working those 2 or 3 bullshit part-time jobs, you know? And so if you can build things the correct way, you can build it to where your music starts paying for the life that you want to live. And you don't have to be a multimillionaire. You can make $100,000, $200,000 a year, and depending on where you live, obviously not if you're getting, you know, raped with no lube at all, just only sandpaper, like in California or New York.
It's true,
right? Then you maybe can't live off of $100,000 a year, you know. But you know, you can make a decent living doing what you want, you know. And that's what it's about with all aspects of business and entrepreneurship, and the internet's helping bring that a lot.
Yeah.
But with being a musician, you know, like if you don't want to tour because you got little kids, but you still want to keep making music because you love it, you still want to keep making money because you got a fucking family now, right? Well, you can just go online. You know, instead of doing tours, you can go and do live stream performances.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can do stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's people.
It's totally true.
I see artists that get so boxed in with, oh, well, the way you're supposed to do it is this. And I'm just like, okay, go on then. You're not going to get anywhere trying to do what you're supposed to do, you know. Or the artists, the ones that trip me out the most are the artists that are like, hey, you know, like I have a trigger warning at the beginning of my episode or of my podcast that says, like, look, on this episode or on this podcast, we talk about, you know, music marketing, branding, and how to have success as an independent artist. So we're going to say things like marketing, brand, sales. If you get triggered by that, then this is not the fucking place for you. You need to go on somewhere else. That's what we talk about here, because there's a lot of artists, and you know this, there's a lot of artists who are like, oh, it's not all about the money. Oh, sales is dirty, right? They just like, they want it to be only about the art. Okay, cool. But you got to make that distinction. Okay, you want it to be all about the art. Well, do you want to be a hobby artist who continues playing for 10 people at that local bullshit bar? Or do you want to be able to support your family?
Right.
That's where it comes down, you know, and you can go, you're either a hobby artist or you're a serious artist.
Right. It's 100% true. I mean, unless you want to live on the streets and street busk and literally have nothing, like, right, you got to have a plan. You got to have a business plan. And a lot of artists get scared by that kind of talk, because they don't understand. Business is not a natural mindset for them.
No,
and so
they're not. You know, they're a highly creative person who can't really focus on one thing too much.
Right.
You know, and that's why they always got to make a new song all the time. And I get it. I make music too. So, but it's just like,
Why do you think that is? This is a question for both of you guys. Why do you think that is, that somebody who's a singer-songwriter just gets so involved in the art and just thinks that marketing and sales and stuff is dirty? Because in my realm, I would love to be able to do the marketing and sales for the stuff that I've done, but basically, you know, the desire and the time is not there, because of course I've got other desires and stuff like that, you know, with my gardening and other stuff that I've got going on. Those are my passions. Those are what I market and do about, but I don't kind of tunnel vision into, this is the only way that I do this, or this is the only way that I do that. Why is it that these artists that Harkos talks about, and I know that he talks about them a lot, I listen to his podcast all the time, where they get so tunnel vision on just the art? It's just the art, and as long as I have my art on there, it'll sell unless I die, and then finally I'll be a Van Gogh or a, you know, something, you know, and then my stuff will be worth $1 million, but I'm gone. You know, I don't understand that. I don't understand that mindset that some artists have on that, and I don't know why they don't bust out of that.
Well, I think it's because, like what Kevin was just saying, they don't understand it. They don't have a business mind. They don't have an entrepreneurial mindset either. A lot of people who make music are highly creative people, like what I was just saying. And so they get easily distracted off of things. And when the reason that they're highly creative is because they're trying to express themselves. and they enjoy the expression of themselves. You can't express yourself when you're looking at spreadsheets. You can't express yourself when you're doing your fucking taxes. Well, I mean,
it's not as fun.
You can burn stuff down while you're doing your taxes, but like, you know, like you can't, it's not an expression. It's not as fun, like what you just said. And so I think that's what gets it. People are like, I don't want to deal with any of that. And honestly, too, a lot of musicians can't keep a solid job because they get bored very easy, and all the mundane shit is mind numbing, and it kills them because they want to be constantly creating things. And
so what's the answer for somebody that's like that
you
really
know,
does want to make the money?
Well, that's a great point that Harkos is saying, because like that's kind of what I was touching on earlier a little bit. Like for me, the business did not come out natural. I probably am somebody who I struggle with it, like a lot of ADD kind of a thing where, yeah, like I constantly am hearing symphonies in my head. Like life's a fucking musical, right? So like something really awful could be happening in like real life, and I might be hearing like a symphony to it. Like I just can't turn it off. It's like music, right? Constantly going on. And so like I always have the desire to express myself, and I could easily lose myself all day long, 8 hours in the studio, forget about time and just be creating. But then I realized, shit, like I can't do that because I'll let too many other things suffer. Like, but that's something I didn't realize until much later. And I think for me, what happened was I started, as I was in that first band, right? And we all had jobs and roles. Like so-and-so was in charge at the time. It was called MySpace, right? Remember that? So, so like that was when we were like using bots to get like fans and shit. So like at the time in my first band, yeah. So at that time, like we all had a role, and it worked because like there was 4 of us. So it was like this like team effort, right? But then after we disbanded and I was on my own, I had to sort of struggle with like, oh, well, now I got to learn how to like do everything. Like
everything.
I'm the artist, I'm the business, I'm everything. And I struggled with that. And that's one of the reasons I got into personal development, because it's something that I had to get uncomfortable for a while. I had to train myself to do things that I normally wouldn't do, because I was so hungry for the success of music that I realized like that's a key component that has to happen. It's not going to happen without it. No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to throw it, you know what I mean? You have to do it at first. You have to wear those hats.
Nobody's going to throw a contract at you. Nobody's going to come and say, hey, you're the next big thing.
Nope.
You know, or if you get something like that, then actually somebody's just actually going to take your.
But I think Harkos is so right though. Like, you know, a lot of musicians are just built that way. They're wired that way, where like they have this ADD and they're like just very creative and they're just all over the place. And a lot of them, to be honest with you, honestly, I have known people like this. Some people just can't. It's almost like they it's an excuse. Like they're not willing or able to do the marketing, so they just come up with, well, marketing's selling out, so I'm just gonna be on the street and like do my thing, and I'm an artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but really,
I'm an artist. I'm not doing this. I'm not trying to make the business out of this. You know, I'm not a salesman. I'm a musician. You know, and they say, oh, I'm gonna let the music speak for itself and all that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And I feel like, you know, but the thing is that as I got into the marketing, I realized actually how much I loved it and how much fun that part of it was too. And that actually is just as much a part of the art in the end, because like you get to kind of like, you get to form your own identity. Like we said earlier, your brand, you get to like come up with your art, your imaging, and the art can inspire the music, and the music can inspire the art. It's like this back and forth, you know?
And you have to too, especially in today's media landscape. You know, like I said, I was 10 years old whenever I really got deep into music, but especially into hip hop, because I was watching, you know, MTV and BET in the morning before elementary school, right? And so I saw music videos, and that's where I really fell in love with Bone Thugs and Harmony and Wu-Tang, because I saw their music videos on TV. I was like, oh shit, it's the same way now. It's just that everybody can watch their TV at any time from anywhere. Right. And so, you know, as a musician, you know, they're like, oh, well, I don't want to mess with social media. It's like, that's your ultimate creative outlet. You can not only just create the music now, but I don't know about you, man, but like whenever I'm writing a song, I am visualizing shit in my mind too. It's like a screen's playing here on my forehead. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so like you're doing it, and not only are you getting all of that hit from the other dimension into your brain so you can create it, but you're seeing it as well too. And you could almost close your eyes and keep writing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
See what I'm saying? And so like when you're getting that now after you're done with that, now you let the world see what you saw in your head. you know, and that's where a lot of people miss. And with bands, it really trips me out because, like what you just said, you got 4 people in a band. You can split things 4 ways. You know how much fucking shit you can conquer?
Oh yeah.
It's insane. It drives
Yeah.
me nuts when I see bands who only put out 2 music videos a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you not on social media?
Yeah.
You can literally, like, all 4 of y'all play a different instrument. You guys can do solo acoustic versions of the song or whatever to help promote it.
All right. Exactly.
You know, you
that
can
much more content.
That much more content. Every one of y'all are into something else. One person likes working on cars. One person likes gardening. One person's gay. Whatever, right? You can have all those things. They can create the different content on their stuff, but also on the group thing. And you know, there's just so many different demographics you can reach with that because people are going to like remember Limp Bizkit? I loved Wes because he was crazy. He had the crazy hair and he had the blacked out eyes and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, but like, you know, and then everybody liked their own person. Like I remember growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s on bands and stuff like that with, what are the name of those magazines? Metal Magazine or whatever. Like there's multiple different magazines and like different band members would be featured or whatever. And like you'd rip out certain ones and hang them up in your locker and shit.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, man. I mean, we have like this golden era right now too, like with the technology. Like one of the what I'm doing with this Age of Starlight project has like a big sci-fi element because I love sci-fi, I love space, and so I'm gonna tie it into this other project that I'm working on with the songwriter that was in my band, the one I was in LA now. We're kind of collaborating on this with some other people and a filmmaker buddy of ours. It's called Sons of Stardust. And basically, it's like a sci-fi space opera. It's like if Game of Thrones met Star Wars. So it's like epically big and galactic like Star Wars, but super like adult, like just bloody. People die. Like anything can go. Like it's super like dark. So like we're creating this like fantasy sci-fi world where the music that inspires characters we write about inspire the music, and the music inspires characters to where they even have like their own theme. And we're bringing in other artists to work on it. And now with all the technology, like AI, you can generate images, like you can move so quick. You can put out so many assets, you know, just like get some like comic strips going, get some assets, get your fans involved. Like, you know what I mean?
Not even just AI, but you also have Fiverr.
Yeah.
I mean, so I started thinking about it not long ago, but you can go to Fiverr and you can find people in other countries who will you shoot the music video with multiple scenes. They'll put it together for like $50, $60, $100 tops, mate. You know what I'm saying? Like because people in another country, like, you know, you give somebody $100 in the Philippines or in India or in Iran, fuck yeah, let's go. Like that's their week.
So
you know?
That's funny you say that because Age of Starlight, my current project, I was just in a need, like so much going on. I got this music school now. I got my projects. I was like, I don't have time to make a really good cinematic lyric video. So I went to Fiverr and I hired this really dope guy from Israel, and he made me 2 legit like cinematic lyric videos that are awesome, all sci-fi'd out with stock footage, but all like edited, you know. And it was only like a few $100 for each one. Yeah. I mean, come on, you can't beat that. Like,
no, you can't beat that because you would get some basic ass one from somebody in the United States. Yeah. If you paid $100 for a lyric video, it's like super basic, you know. They have a few things, but yeah, like technology is helping people in that realm be able to create things faster. Like, you know, I do my music and stuff like that, but I also like the main things I work with is marketing with people, but I also I have a podcast over in the UK that I edit for, you know, so I do their podcast editing, and then I also chop into clips. Well, I use a program that chops the clips up for me based on the transcript. So it uses, you know, best practices in SEO to analyze a transcript and find different places that would go well. And then I just use those, clean them up, obviously, visually and everything, throw the text up there, which we have auto generation of text now, which is amazing because now you don't have to time everything, because you used to have to actually, if you wanted to have text on a video,
you had to like sit on a timeline.
You had to sit there and you had to time it exactly. You had to transition everything in. Now you just hit auto generate in CapCut and done. You know,
which program are you using for that?
For I use CapCut, but then you can also CapCut's really easy for that. For for the auto generation. It's like the easiest
awesome.
one. Now, there's a lot of other ones as well too. Like for instance, StreamYard right here that we're using to broadcast this. They have an auto clip feature. Riverside that I use for my podcast, they have an auto clip feature as well too. So a lot of the Zoom, I think they have one as well too. You got to have be on a higher tier, but CapCut's free, and
right
on your phone with music, it works way better than it does on the computer, right? But either way, it's free, and it's super simple. And the same company who owns TikTok owns CapCut. So like they were made to go together. They were made to go together. And like I always tell people all the time, like social media has been TikTokified. Like Gary Vee says, the TikTokification of social media is because TikTok figured out, hey, look, we're on the interest graph now. It's not about how many followers you got. It's about what you're doing in that specific piece of content and how much people fuck with it. You know, and so it's very, very simple to do.
Yeah, and think about like how people get overwhelmed by this, but how easy is it now to put out content? Like you don't even have to make a full music. Like if you want to do a live video, like hey, I'm going to play one of my songs stripped down acoustically. You don't even have to play the whole song. You can play like 30 seconds of 10 songs and you've got 10 different pieces of content that go out there, and they're only going to care because the attention span, they're flipping through it. 30 seconds, great. You know what I mean? That's all you needed to do.
Well, there's that, or you can just do the whole thing, 3-4 minutes or whatever, and you chop it and then you mix it up every day. So a different piece of a different thing's coming out. And that's actually a course that I created called TikTok style music videos, where I show artists how fucking simple it is to do that. Me and my kid who's 16, right? He held my phone for me. That's my camera, right? And we went out for an hour and a half, and I shot 7 different tracks in 7 different locations, right? In an hour and a half. And then I came back home, threw a little bit of effects on there, nothing crazy, hit the auto caption feature, corrected some of the things where it doesn't understand what I say sometimes, but you can hear how I talk. It's easy to do. And then you save them, and then you chop them up. 7 tracks divided by 5 or 6 clips. Come on now.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Growth.
Yeah, exactly. And it's entertaining. It's engaging. It's not just a promotional piece. Buy it now. You're actually just like, hey, look.
You're just putting, if someone's going to fuck with it because they're going to be like, hey, I like that. I'm digging that. I'm going to follow this. And they're going to start watching more. And
then they're going to go check out your song on the favorite platform that they have and everything like that, too. That's one thing I tell artists as well, too. This is going to be the Harkos show. One thing I also tell artists, too, is, look, you don't have to tell people out now on all streaming platforms. They're going to assume if you're promoting it, unless you're fucking retarded and not Down syndrome way, like an actual idiot. Unless you're a fucking complete idiot, unless you shouldn't be promoting music that's not out yet, because then people can't take the action.
Right.
But you don't have to tell them, go stream this on Spotify. They know where to go.
Right.
Yeah.
They know what to do.
Yeah.
Like link in bio. Yeah, of course you should have your link in bio. If you don't, you're a fucking idiot. Right. You know, like it's, so when they say stream now, buy now, out now, duh. Like don't tell people that. Just entertain. You're in the entertainment business.
Yeah, that's a really good.
I think another thing about your promotions and stuff like that is because Harkos has sent me some pictures of him that I use on web pages and like that, some stills and stuff that he's taken of himself that I've used on our web page and here and there. But you also, Kevin, had sent me a couple of JPEGs that you use. I want to share them here. I mean, I don't know who's doing your artwork or who does this, but can you tell me who actually does these shots? And how important is it?
That looks like an AI painting of it.
Yeah. So those are all for Age of Starlight, and I'm really big on sci-fi. Those are all AI done. It's like kind of like I wanted to go for like this vintagey sort of like classy, like like spacey vibe kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of looks like
Sinatra type thing.
That one's more different. That one's more like pop art. But yeah, I did a whole bunch of AI stuff just because, that like that one right there, like it just was just going for a vibe and. It's what you know what I mean? Like I used real pictures, but I used AI to come up with the, to change them.
Yeah, to make it look like a painting.
Harkos has one that was very savagely done, where he was. I think you were like leaning up against the lamppost, kind of like that classic type thing. I can't remember where I saw it. I do have it in my repertoire of pictures of you and stuff like that. But there's just a certain style of stuff that you see that you want to use on either websites or your music or stuff like. How important is that?
Very.
It's the most important. That's the first thing people see.
Yeah. I mean, for example, like if they go on to Spotify or Apple Music, it's very important. Like one of the first things is going to be, you know, your banner, your background, your profile picture, like whatever it is like that's the face of the artist. So
yeah, and that's sorry.
Oh no, yeah, go ahead.
And that's way more important than the cover art on your fucking single. Like I see so many people that will get so obsessed about, oh, I gotta have a dope cover art on my single. It's like people don't give a fuck about that. They don't care. They don't see it. You know, when you're listening, you listen and stuff like that. And when they want to go to your profile, that's where it matters. Like what Kevin was just saying. You gotta have your banner, you gotta have your profile picture and everything. That's where it needs to be awesome.
Tells your it should tell your story without telling your story. It should like have, you know, a vibe that is working with everything else across your channels so that you have like this uniform, like, you know, sort of a branded image.
Brand solidarity. Man, absolutely.
I am learning so much out of this, man. It's freaking crazy, man. It's just like
welcome to the internet age, Bruce.
The whole thing is that when you're 164 years old like me, to find mentors, you have to usually go to the younger guys, you know. So
well, yeah, you can't go to the graveyard to figure out how to do shit. Like,
but hey, no, with that said, a lot of people, a lot of younger people do not want to take that mentorship role. It's a hard role to take because there's a lot of responsibility in being a mentor, because you've got to put on a persona, and not a fake persona, but you've got to have that will, you've got to have that desire to want to serve, number one, to be able and have the knowledge to steer people in the right direction and in the way that you guys are confident in doing. You know, Harkos has got his confident way of teaching people how to market their stuff and do that stuff. Kevin, you have another a way of doing it, and you guys both are kind of like melding together and it's all the same thing, but styled in different ways. I mean, there's a system there. And I find that, you know, when I was in the ministry, I had a guy that I was really, really fond of that was teaching me, you know, how to be a minister, how to be a layperson and stuff like that. And I said, hey, look, I says, you know what? I kind of really look up to you. I know you're only 20 something, but, you know, could you be my mentor? And he went just like, whoa, you know, I don't know, you know, if I've got that persona, but he did. And to this day, you know, I keep up with him now, and he's a great mentor to lots of people. I don't know if he's a mentor to any older people like that, but he's had ultra mentors to do that sort of situation. But how hard is it to kind of get in that mindset that you want to be a mentor and mentoring people along personally, or just in the global sense of mentoring people?
Yeah, well, you know, I think there's a fear always of like, hey, like, who am I to, you know, I'm trying to teach somebody something. Who the hell, what the fuck do I know? But I read some really good passages and some really great books and things where it's like, I think one stood out to me where it's like, you don't have to know everything. You just need to be hungry, and you need to be a few steps ahead of the person you're trying to take on and help and teach, right? And if you stay hungry and you're steps ahead of them, then you can show them what you know, right? And you know, we've been in the music for a while, the game, so there's quite a bit of steps ahead probably that we have, and I think you just have that confidence, and if you know you're truly you know what you're telling, you fully believe in what you're telling them because you've done it, what works for you, and you're honest about it, then that can work for someone else, right? And I think you start to see, you read enough books, you have the internet, you see enough knowledgeable people speak about things, even like today in this podcast. It's different perspectives, but a lot of things are the same. You know what I mean? So you kind of know when you're on to something, and hey, that works. Like that's a principle. That's a good method. That's something that you can teach somebody that will do well for them. And you know, I think that's what it is. Just being hungry yourself and trying to just to keep growing and learning, and then just, you know, giving it back.
And then the imposter syndrome that you were talking about, like, who the fuck am I? It's a hard thing, but like what you just said, I heard the exact same thing in a different way. Like, you don't have to know everything. You just have to know more than the people that you're teaching, like what you said.
Right.
And that's one thing that I keep on. You got to tell yourself, if you're trying to get into this shit, that you're trying to mentor people, or you're like, hey, I know X amount of things, I can help other people who don't know that. That's the mindset you got to stay with. So, and you gotta be able to tell people, no matter how hungry and how broke you are, you got to be able to be like, hey, you're above my skill level, I can't help you. Right. And I've had to tell a couple of artists that as well too.
Yeah.
And one person, I told them that because they were on an ego trip. And so I was just like, oh, well, you're beyond me. And they're like, no, I think you can help me. I'm like, no, I can't help you. You know more than I do. You're ahead of the game more than me. And they were on an ego trip, and they're not doing anything. Yeah, they got so much attitude. But I'm in the hip hop game. I'm in the hip hop game, so it's extra there. But yeah, it's everywhere. But
I mean, like, it's cool. You can have, like, you got to be confident in all genres, especially hip hop, right? You got to have some swag and some attitude. But I also mean attitude in the sense of, like, you got to have a good attitude. Like, you can't be like,
be positive.
If you're like, hey, I know everything, you can't help me, then all right, like, do your thing. You know what I mean? Like, no one's forcing you. And I mean, I think that's those are all super valid points, and you definitely get that.
Just the cross information that you guys are giving me just kind of drives me to go like, oh, maybe I should do that with this gardening thing that I'm doing. And Kevin's been in my backyard, so he knows what I garden. So
you can. There's first time gardeners all the time. There's people who kind of know what they're doing all the time.
I will say this.
Not only that, the social media aspect of actually posting stuff, sparsing stuff up into 30-second, and you've got content for a month or a year or whatever,
and it's easy to do.
I will say this. I think if there's anything I've learned in all these years so far, and still always growing, like, right, is it really the biggest equity you can have in the game, and I think in any industry, is relationships. And that's worth more than anything, because it's like, quote, like Ford, right? Like Ford, right? Henry Ford, whatever. They always said if he didn't have the answers, he knew who to tap in his network. He knew who to call, right? You don't have to have all the answers. It's just relationships are everything. You can get so far with relationships. So always be looking to network any chance you can get, right? And that's why it's important to, like, be good with people skills and foster that and reach out and
there's always somebody that's hungry for your knowledge. There's always somebody hungry for what you know, and like I just was that?
I said people skills is key, because if you can't deal with people, then, like, I recently ran into this hip hop artist. He's been signed multiple times to different labels, and there's always some kind of crazy thing as to why he's not with them no more. And there's a common denominator, and that's him, his attitude, and the way he wants to run business. And by business, I mean taking an advance and not spend it on your record, and then bitch about some other things until the label drops you. Like, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, buddy? And then you want to run out here and be like, oh, yo, your artists need to tap in with me. It's like, no, they don't. They do not need to take advice from you. It doesn't matter what you look like. So there's a way to be real, and there's a way to not be real, and you could still get the same level of success and fame by doing either one, but you're going to have a lot more sustainability being real.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, like I said, the last couple of times that I've been listening to other shows, Harkos' show, I listen to Harkos' show a lot. And so many of the things that he says make sense, like I said before, with the way you market, the way you social media, the way you interact with people. And it got me thinking, and I've made so many strides in my own business, which has nothing to do with music. It has everything to do with gardening. I took a lot of his tips. I took a lot of Jack Spirko's tips and Billy Bonds' tips. I mixed them all together, and now I'm doing worm bins and and compost and biochar and stuff like that. I'm learning how to do that. I know what the price of all this stuff is, and it's fantastic because I'm just getting ready to go. Like, okay, I'm going to put those practices that I've been learning from Harkos, what I started learning from you now, and going like, I got to go. Even Jason's doing some of the stuff, with his business that Harkos has suggested to him many times. And Jason has
middle fingers instead of the thumbs
Yeah,
up. That was a good fucking move, wasn't it?
Whatever, guys. you millennials.
Harkos,
You guys
good.
millennials get too I don't know, squishy about that crap, man. But I can tell you the difference between this and this. So I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
It's great wisdom you've got though, Harkos. I'm gonna start listening to your show too, man. It's good stuff.
Appreciate that. Yeah. No, like what Bruce just said, I've taken things from multiple different areas. I spent like 2.5 years just diving deep into marketing in total. And I learned from regular marketing, e-commerce marketing, and music marketing. And I started putting it all together. And I'm realizing like that's what you got to do. And then now, 2024, almost 2025, I'm seeing a lot of people are finally getting the hang of it. But I've been over here like, feel like I've been yelling at the wall about it for the last couple of years, but people are finally starting to come around. And that's kind of what happens, honestly, whenever you have superior genetics and you're the smartest person on the planet, you're ahead of your time a lot. And, it takes a while for the population to catch up when they got a low IQ, it's very difficult, but I manage somehow. Usually, I meditate, take CBD, and it helps me get through my day, but it still is frustrating sometimes trying to deal with, when the population has low IQ,
I think our mute wants to talk finally.
I want to hear some wisdom from Jason. What's the golden wisdom?
Golden wisdom is I don't have any.
Jason has a business where he it's called horribledesigns.com. But he creates the craziest shit and puts it on t-shirts. And down below if you're watching. And there's one right there, home run, right, with a volleyball and everything. Like, it makes no fucking sense. But he does stuff like that. But he also uses social media to help put his stuff out there. He uses a lot with memes, because memes is essentially what he's putting on his fucking content, on his merchandise. And Jason, like you've been seeing some success with doing some different things in the realm of actually getting your stuff out there, right?
Yeah, I've been doing infiltrating some meme groups, and I'm finding that just by sharing memes, just general memes, I'm getting extra followers to my Facebook page. When I have these followers on my Facebook page, they also see my new products that come out, or the way I'm an IT guy, so I'm a computer nerd. And I have my Etsy stuff set up so that, I did that one for Bruce. I have my Etsy page set up so that anytime someone buys something from me, it updates a feed and publishes that product directly to Facebook automatically.
Oh, it's sick.
Yeah.
So you're that's awesome.
And you can do integration. You could probably do it to other platforms as well too, like TikTok or Instagram, or not TikTok. Twitter or Instagram.
I have it to Twitter also. I have it to Instagram, and I also have it to my WordPress blog site that I use only.
That's a great strategy that you're using, though, by the way. Just that's like one of the kind of golden rules. Like when you join a new group or you're trying to get into a faction of the internet, you don't want to like blast them right away with marketing your product. You just want to like interact. You just want to like be one of them contributing to the conversation, right? And then naturally they're going to follow you because, hey, like they want to, and then that's where you can start to later have your own products plugged.
Well, it's 100% organic. And what he's doing is what I always tell musicians to do as well, too. It's like, look, you have your business, which is your music. He has his business, which is his merchandise line, right? But, he also has a hobby, and that's memes. Like, that's the thing he loves. He knows all about that shit and everything like that. And so he goes out there and he puts that out there. But he diversifies his content on his page with some stuff memes, some stuff merch. And sometimes the meme is the merch, right? And so it coincides. So whenever you go in the meme groups and you're interacting on meme shit, then like what you just said, people will go look at your profile. They'll go look at your other content you've put out and stuff like that. You may not be putting promotional stuff for your merchandise in that group, but people are going to see it. And I tell artists to do that the same way as well too. It's like, look, if you make, you're making experimental electronica style music and you love sci-fi, you love anime, you need to be in these anime groups talking that anime shit. You need to be putting out content about the latest anime shit you just watched. Stuff like that, because then that's what people are going to connect with you on that level and go deeper. Just like what I said in technically last week's episode, which was only an hour ago, in real time, time traveling like us. But, you
gave up the ghost.
Yeah, exactly. The ghost of Kiev. But no, like when you, what the fuck? God damn it.
Well, yeah, and going back to the whole meme thing, I've got only like 30,000 memes saved, so I got plenty to go around.
Memes for days. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
no, but
smart. Stacked up.
They mean a lot when you go in, and I'm just basically doing that. I've not just discovered Reddit, but I'm doing a Revit thing now where I'm getting into gardening, getting into permaculture, and those things that I do out in my backyard. And I'm not hitting them with any product. I'm just hitting them with
information.
Just information. What I'm doing. My blog now that I'm doing is just information about here's what I did. Here's how I dried my tomatoes. And I got 94 hits off of that, just off of my blog. I'm not sure how many other hits I got anywhere else from it. I got another one coming out. I do golf. I love playing golf. So I did a blog on the plight of Ridgemark Golf Club out there in Hollister. It's not a great one. It's not a great review of them because it sucked. But I mean, you get out there. And it's real, so you get out there and you plug the golf channels with that. You plug the social medias with that. I also got Nostr, which is another kind of protocol that a lot of people aren't into now. It's going to be a growing protocol, but same thing there. It's all run by hashtags and stuff like that. And you put in your content there, you get hits, you get reviews back, you get feedback back. It's a feel good thing because then eventually, like you say, you get the followers, and then you just hint at a product, and then bam, they want to know. They want to get there. So yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. The only thing that I don't get right now is algorithms. I just cannot understand the changing landscape of algorithms. Just drives me crazy.
I honestly think they haven't changed in a while. I think people's interests have changed because, like I said, once TikTok really came out, they shifted from the follower graph to the interest graph. And that was around 2020, 2021-ish. So since then, it's been all interest-based, and so hashtags, they kind of point you in the right direction, but the content of the content is what matters the most. And that's what the algorithm does, is it says, so a lot of artists get screwed up with this as well, too, because they try to get a bunch of people, just get people to stream my music. That doesn't work. What you need is people who really like that one specific thing to stream your music, And so when you're putting out content, no matter what it is, whatever genre it is, you need to identify your brand, who you are, what you stand for, and what what your story is. But then you also need to put out content relevant to that. And then when people like it, then the algorithm sees, hey, look, these kind of people like this content. Let me send it to other people who are in that same thing, because everybody gets boxed. And so then they're like, oh, all these people are into gardening and they're also into golf and they're liking this guy's content. Okay, so let me find people who are into gardening and golf, move those two interest graphs in together. Oh, wait, he's talking about grilling out right now. Let me grab some barbecue nuts. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And then the algorithm tests it. And if it works, then it goes, Like I ran a test campaign on my Spotify in May, and I'm still getting playlist ads, and I haven't put a single dime in since the end of June. I mean, so like just because I found the right people, they all added me to their individual playlists and everything like that. They streamed. I had my whole catalog of 15 songs got saved and added like fucking hundreds of times, and it's still continuously going like that in the same trajectory, and I haven't done a single thing. So just imagine if you're being consistent with it. That's how the algorithm works. It's all based off of what is this? Okay, let's get it to the people who like this shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So informative,
that's a
man.
very technical description of it.
Well, let's tie this all up in a bow and kiss a goodbye for tonight. But man, Kevin, man, thanks a lot, man, for being here, man. I really appreciate your time. Get you back to your wife and kids, man.
This was super fun.
That cool studio you got back there, man. I've been inside that studio.
Yeah, that's your garage. Yeah, it looks like the garage door back there. That's what's up. You actually have a garage door.
I've got.
This is the garage door I've
got. I've got a little project studio set up in here.
Hey, I'm in my closet, so it is what it is. not metaphorically, like literally.
It looks dope.
Closet.
You have a good background. I like it.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that's dope. I got clothes over here. I got a shelf right above here.
I definitely don't record vocals in here because you hear like everybody from the lawn blower to like the cars. We have another spot I do that, but it's good for anything direct. Just laying down ideas, jamming.
All right.
That's awesome.
Well, thanks again, Kevin, for being here, man. We'll have you on again, man. And I'm sure that,
this was,
like I said, you and Harkos have a lot in common, man. So I'm sure the networking will go on. It's all about networking, man. It really is all about networking, being consistent, and going forward with your hopes and dreams and your desires, man. And it's all about consistency and putting your nose to the grindstone and doing it. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about, man, and getting it going on. So, thank you again, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll be following you, Harkos, too, and looking forward to listening to your content. And thanks Bruce, for having me. Thanks, Jason, for doing all the sound and putting this technical stuff together.
Just thanks for sitting there and making your mugs.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
making your mugs and your shirts and everything else like that. And he's good.
Shit, he's been making money while we've been sitting here bullshitting. He's been getting down. Yeah, cha-ching. That's him making sales, man.
Yep.
Catch us on X tomorrow at 6 a.m. p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our new 30-minute show where we get a little bit of in the morning about stuff. That's the one that Jason does. That's my audio producer on that one. But thank you guys all for being here. I'm going to leave you here again like I leave you all the time. Have a great night, great day, great whenever you listen to this show, and be good to yourselves. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah, play that skin flute. Be good to yourself.
I'm going to.
Later, gents.
All right.